All right, tonight let's talk a little bit about structured journalism. And let's start by considering the tweet. The tweet is an object in space. It has a certain shape, it has a certain look, it has a little bit of blue in the top right with a follow button, has some options on the bottom, and it can be embedded. That tweet I showed you was embedded in a Wall Street Journal article, but you would not have known that from looking at the tweet itself, because the structure of the tweet is invariant across publications. That tweet or different tweet can be embedded in ESPN.com. Same structure, same follow button, same buttons at the bottom, same picture in the top left, but totally different publication, totally different audience. But the structure is consistent. If you look at fact-checking as a different domain, Bill Adair, the founder of PolitiFact, is here tonight to give the first talk. PolitiFact, at the top of every article, includes a little structured rectangle that has the photo of a speaker, the text of the claim, some context, and a rating. And that box, again, is sort of like a tweet. It's an object in space. It has its own unique structure, and you could imagine that structure anywhere on the internet, and it would have meaning to the reader in and of itself. So shape is one way to think about structure, but color is another way. Let's talk about color for a few minutes. Color conveys a lot of information, and often we just throw it around aesthetically to try to be interesting, appealing with our sort of visual design. But you can also structure color. You know, there's different hues, there's different intensities, there's light, there's dark. You can use color in an intentional way, just like you can use shape to create spaces that convey intrinsic meaning. One example of this in action that I thought was particularly astute was the Black Budget Report from the Washington Post. Right? They used a black background with this sort of white text, almost like they're shining a light in the darkness. Without even reading the text, you get a visceral sense of what this piece is about. Another example, The Intercept, the drone papers, again, shining a light on a dark place, this time very much violence-oriented, so they use some red. And without reading a single word, I know this is going to be a little bit grisly. I think that this is rooted in some ways, these ideas, in our physical experience. If I'm in a dark alleyway, I viscerally feel danger, I feel uncertainty, I feel questions, and that dark sort of has that association. Conversely, if it's, let's say, a bright sunrise, that has its own set of associations, right? That's a beautiful day, there's hope, there's energy, and just by looking at the color of the sky, I'm feeling things automatically. It's like hardwired into me biologically. I think there's already many examples of people engineering around color. If you look at traffic signs, orange signs, pretty much everywhere around the world, are an alert, a warning, whereas green signs are sort of background, like a green hill you might drive by. It's information that's here if you want it, but it's not mandatory. If you look at red, red is warning. Could be a stop sign, could be in a cart in a shopping mall. It always means warning. There's intrinsic meaning that's been baked into it because it's been used in a thoughtful way across a lot of different organizations. Digitally, if you talk about digital technology, think about the word grayed out. Grayed out means inaccessible, but it's a color, right? We've all decided somehow that gray means not usable right now and used it in all sorts of offline and online technology products. That's a standard that we've created as a community. So within Google, there's an effort called material design to try to be thoughtful and deliberate about how we use color and shape inside the company. But I think there's room for something like this in the broader news community as well, to try to make it easier for producers and consumers. This is what it looks like. I don't know the output, but I know the process. It's things like Newsgeist. We could be doing this tomorrow, sitting around a table, trying to hash out what are the principles that we want as in a standardized way that become intuitive. And there's a lot of pieces to play with. Texture, shape, placement, color, scale. You don't need to dictate every single one of them. You can leave choices up to a news publisher or up to an individual content creator, but you can still create some standards. And you can make them machine readable so that algorithms can help readers parse through information by discerning the structure that's inherent in content. At the end of the day, I'm really talking about creating cookbooks. Cookbooks, say if you have some recipes, if you want to create a certain aesthetic experience, here's what to do. Here's some steps to follow. You can deviate if you want, if you think it makes sense, but at least you have a starting point. So to recap, using a structured format to try my own medicine in a very initial and weak way, I'm trying to say that structured journalism is in fact already happening. The meaning, in many cases, is rooted in physical experiences, and we can leverage that to redefine journalism on the web. Thank you very much.